Mrs. Walsh's boarding house stood 3 stories tall on a narrow street where the smoke from 5 Points still drifted, but the door knockers stayed polished. Ivy had passed it many times, always assuming the solid brick building with its gleaming brass fixtures was beyond the reach of girls like her. Now she followed the widow up the front steps, her small bundle of possessions clutched in one hand and the empty market basket in the other. Inside, the entryway smelled of beeswax and fresh bread, a stark contrast to the damp, sour mustiness of the tenement room she had just left behind. A wide staircase with a gleaming banister led to the upper floors, and through an open doorway, Ivy glimpsed a parlour where several young women sat with needlework in their laps, laughing and talking. "This way," Mrs. Walsh said, leading her past the parlour toward a small office at the back of the house. The room was tidy and orderly, dominated by a substantial desk covered with correspondence and ledgers. Mrs. Walsh gestured to the wooden chair across from her and sat with the authority of a woman used to command. "I'm glad you agreed to stay here, Ivy. That man had a dangerous look about him." "Thank you for your kindness," Ivy said. "I don't know what I would have done." "It's a pleasure. How long since your brother passed?" 3 months come Tuesday," Ivy replied, the familiar ache rising in her chest. "The fever took him quick." "And you've been managing alone since?" Mrs. Walsh's sharp gaze took in the careful darning on Ivy's cuffs, the way her shawl had been refolded to hide its fraying edges. Ivy shifted in her seat, trying not to pull at her cuffs. "I've work at Kirby's laundry 3 days a week. I do mending for Mrs. Townsend at the dry goods store, when she has it." Mrs. Walsh leaned back in her chair, apparently satisfied. She opened a drawer and drew out a stack of letters tied with twine. "Do you know what I do here, Ivy?" "You keep a respectable boarding house for Irish girls." "That's part of it," she said, tapping the stack of letters. "But I do something else, something not everyone understands or approves of." She paused, studying Ivy. "I find fresh starts for girls who need them most." Ivy blinked. "Fresh starts?" "There are good men out west who need wives. Ranchers, shopkeepers, miners, farmers. Men building something from nothing who cannot do it alone." Her voice was steady, practical. "And there are women left here with nothing but bad choices ahead. I make introductions." Understanding slowly took hold in Ivy's chest. A flutter of something like hope followed. "You arrange marriages?" "Yes." Mrs. Walsh untied the twine and began sorting through the letters. "It is not for everyone. The West is a hard country. But for those with courage, it offers something New York rarely does. A clean slate." A clean slate. The words echoed in Ivy's mind like a prayer. How long had it been since she believed such a thing was possible?